Hare Bhagavatam Sakara His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, all glories to the similar, all glories to the similar, all glories to Sri Guru Gaura. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Morning, everyone. Today we're reading Canto 3, Chapter 4, text number 27. Got all my gadgets here today. Shri Shukravacha Iti Saha Vidurina Vishvamurte Gunakataya Sudaya Plavitoru Tapa Shanamiva Pulina Yamasvasustam Samosita Upagavir Nishantatogat Iti Saha Vidurina Vishvamurate Gunakataya Sudaya Plavitorotopa Shanamivo Puline Yamastvasastum Samosita Upagavir Nishantatogat Sri Shukaravacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Iti, thus, Saha, along with Vidurina, Vidura, Vishvamurte, of the universal person, Gunakataya, in the course of in the discourse of transcendental qualities. Sudaya, nectarine. Plavita ura tapa, overwhelmed with great affliction. Shranam, moment. Eva, like that. Pauline, on the bank of Yamasvasutam, River Yamuna. Samusita, passed on. Upagave, the son of Upagava, that's Uddhava. Nisham, the night. Tata, thereafter. Agat, went away. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, after thus discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away. Please repeat. Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, after thus discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame and qualities on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away. Purport. The word used here for Krishna is Vishvamurti. Both Uddhava and Vidura were in great affliction because of Lord Krishna's departure, and the more they discussed the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, the more the picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Such visualization of the transcendental form of the Lord is neither false nor imaginary, but is factual, absolute truth. When the Lord is perceived as Vishvamurti, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere. So I was thinking about how to talk about this verse last night, and I guess there's many things you could speak about. I'll try and speak about a few of them. But one thing we find in the Bhagavatam is like we have the Bhagavad Gita, which gives us our philosophy and the nuts and bolts of what we're doing in Krishna consciousness, in Sanatana Dharma. But when we read the Bhagavatam, we see that in action. So here, this verse is explaining. I'm going to do a little interactive thing here. So this verse, we're talking about Uddhava talking with Vidura and how they become ecstatic even though they're in this state of affliction or separation from Krishna. Still this ecstasy is arising in them. So I was thinking there's a verse, well there's probably a few verses, but one verse I've thought of in the Bhagavad Gita that kind of explains this whole thing that devotees do. How we hang out together, we talk about Krishna, and through that we gain more affection and more bliss from this interaction we have with devotees. Can anyone think of the verse? You're a Sanskrit guy. Is that 10.9? Yeah. The 10.9, it says, "The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me." So, and this is actually one of the seed verses of the Bhagavad Gita as well. So this verse perfectly explains that verse. So you have, like we say, the Bhagavad Gita is the nuts and bolts, and then the Bhagavatam shows us how to live that. So I just wanted, there's many other verses also which explain the same principle. Can anyone think of another one? There's a famous one that Prabhupada would quote occasionally. It's from the Padma Purana. Can anyone think of it? Krishna's talking to Narada, and he says, "Oh Narada, I am not in Vaikuntha, nor am I in the hearts of the yogis. I remain where my devotees glorify my name, form, qualities, and transcendental pastimes." So although Krishna is in Vaikuntha, and he is in the hearts of all the yogis and every living entity, but for him personally, he likes to be where his devotees are glorifying him, not for his, he's not some like proud person who's like, yeah, listen to them, they're just glorifying me. It's not like that. It's actually for our benefit that we're glorifying him. And because of the love in our hearts, that's what is attracting Krishna to those, the devotion and affection we have for him. So he's attracted to that. So he will come and be present in those interactions with us. So there's a concept for us which is a little hard to grasp. Prabhupada would speak on this also, where he says, don't try to see Krishna, try to hear, and try to see Krishna by hearing, not by trying to see him face to face. So he, by the process of hearing, we are able to see Krishna, as we just read in this verse. And in the purport, Prabhupada is describing that there's this particular Vishvamurti that appears in the meditation of the devotees as they, when the Lord is perceived as a Vishvarupa, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere. So for all those devotees who are in this rapt meditation on Krishna, his pastimes and form, he actually appears there. Can anyone think of another way that we can, through the hearing process, that we can experience Krishna? Kirtan, for sure. And our japa, the japa. So the Hare Krishna mantra is no different from Krishna. So in that absorption in those names, then Krishna manifests again to us. So this seeing by the process of hearing is kind of strange to us. We like to think that our eyes is what we can see with, but the mysticism of this process is that we have more chance of seeing Krishna through our hearing than by our seeing, as we are, right now. As we advance and we become more pure in our hearts and consciousness, then we can see Krishna in his deity form, like he's there. We can only see him in his archer form, but Krishna is actually there in his spiritual form, not just the marble. So as we become more in tune with Krishna and more pure in our consciousness, we can experience that. There's one, I was reading a little anecdote the other day. One devotee was with Prabhupada in Los Angeles, in the temple there, Dwarkadish there. And Prabhupada was right up close to the deities, right up close to the front of the altar. And this devotee, there was so many devotees there, he got pushed right up close to Prabhupada, and he was like basically here. And he could hear Prabhupada talking to the deities, and he said, are they taking care of you? And then Prabhupada would hear the response, and he said, well, that's good. Just make sure, you're getting enough food and they're taking care of you. But Prabhupada had that vision and ability to communicate with the deity directly. We're getting there, but we've still got some distance to go. So this Vishvamurti, can anyone think of a different form that is spoken of in the Bhagavad Gita and also here in the second canto mostly, of the form where Krishna appears through them, kind of well, this particular form is not particularly a spiritual form, but it's given for those starting out in bhakti. Does anybody know what I'm talking about here? The Virat Rupa, that's it, yes. So there's two forms here mentioned that, well, no, there's only one mentioned, but I'm mentioning the other one. So in the second canto, in the first chapter, the chapter is called First Steps to God Realization. And in the verses, there's descriptions of all different aspects of nature and ways that we can remember or see Krishna in those features within the world. And then also we have this description like that in the 10th canto, 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And then we have the actual universal form that he shows to Arjuna in the 11th chapter. So that's this feature. Well, there's the time factor, and then there's the Virat Rupa shown to Arjuna as well. So what do you think is the difference between this Vishvamurti and the Virat Rupa? What is the difference, you think? Anybody got any comments on that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, totally. That's it. The Virat Rupa is for the beginners and those who are not necessarily that keen on the personal form of God. So there's this ways that you can see God within nature, within the universe, and all kinds of personalities and creatures. So there's not that much love or devotion developed at that point. So the Virat Rupa is given for those people so they can begin to remember Krishna. But you have Uddhava and Vidura here. They're always remembering Krishna. They're like fully absorbed in Krishna. So this Vishva Murti is what is manifest to the person who has that love of God in their heart. So yeah, just the quality of the consciousness of the person, then the different forms. And you see also Krishna will appear to different devotees in different forms because that's what they're actually attracted to, that particular form. And Krishna will appear to them in certain ways that is for their pleasure. He doesn't necessarily have to, but he does. Yes, what else can I say here? So Uddhava and Vidura, they're in this state of, Prabhupada uses the word affliction, or they're in this separation. Krishna's just left. Just, not long ago, Krishna's gone. So Uddhava's been told that he's got to go to Bhadrika Ashram, and when he goes there, then he can have the association again of not Krishna personally, but another form, the Nara and Narayan forms. So this separation, and even in our lives, we can experience, not to the degree that Uddhava or the gopis are experiencing, but we can experience a concept of this where, someone we're deeply attached to or in love with, when we're away from them, we're always thinking about them, we're wondering what they're doing and how they're going, and that longing to see them again it's a natural thing for the soul. We don't necessarily have that for Krishna right now, like speaking personally, like I would like to, but we're always remembering and forgetting Krishna all the time, but if we have some love for someone in this world, we can experience that in a small way and sometimes that feeling of separation is definitely higher than the actual meeting, because when we're together, then like in separation, you're just remembering the good times, the little things that kind of knock you or get you a little whatever. Whereas when you don't remember those things when you're apart, but when you come back together, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. They do all these little things that kind of just whatever. But for Krishna, he's all perfect. So whether we're separated from him or with him, there's this deep affection that is never interrupted, and actually, in actuality, it keeps growing. Like this affection between Krishna and Radharani, for example. Krishna's thinking, man, Radharani, she loves me so much. It's like, why does she love me so much? It's like, how can I do something to show my love for her? So Krishna will try and do something nice for her, and Radharani's like, wow, Krishna really loves me. Like he's really making some effort here to do something nice for me. So then Radharani's like, oh, I got to do something nice for him. So it's like this never-ending, increasing, loving relationship, and that's relationships in the spiritual world are like that. In this world, can be like that to some degree, but we seem to have limitations, I guess, with our material minds and consciousness. But again, as that all becomes more purified, then definitely, like you see, like Prabhupada and all the great acharyas from the past, they they could exhibit amazing amounts of love and affection for so many different personalities and people. And it is our constitutional position to love. So as we become more pure in heart, then that inclination becomes more pure and becomes more available to give more, firstly to ourselves and then to others. And I think the last thing I'll mention here is time. Time is very relative. Our concept of time in this world, we can experience our things that we're really into, we really like doing. Time can seem to go quite fast, and then there's things we don't like doing. Time just like drags on forever. It's like I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to the movies sometimes, and if it was a movie I really liked, it'd be over in like seemed like really fast. And then there's some movies like, God, I hate this movie, and it just seemed to go forever. So we can experience a little bit of that kind of understanding of time as being relative. Like we understand also from the Vedas that within different parts of the universe, time is measured differently. For example, in the demigods, where the demigods live, like 12 hours of their day is 6 months in our time. And then if you go up to Lord Brahma, it's like ridiculous. 12 hours of his time is 4,320,000,000 years or something. So the time scales within the universe are very huge. And then you have like Uddhava here and Vidura, they're absorbed in the thought of Krishna, and the whole night is gone in a moment. Like they come out of their absorption in Krishna, and then the whole night's gone. You see, like in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, he would go into trance for days sometimes. And for him, it just felt like, oh, I just woke up. So time is a very, again, it's a state of consciousness. We can experience time in different ways. The higher our consciousness, then um, time seems to be different. In this world, it doesn't necessarily change, but like here, a whole night can feel like a moment because of our absorption and state of consciousness. So, yeah, I think I'll stop here. Anybody have any comments or questions or corrections? Prabhu.
That's very nice. Just with Uddhava, and perhaps also Maitreya, one can say that, well, they got to see Krishna in person, right? And so, of course, they can feel that separation, like we do. We see someone and we feel that separation from them after they leave. And so it's easier to access that emotion. And of course, you're speaking about hearing and seeing, but it seems that that separation feeling is impossible without actually seeing that person in the first place. Is kind of inaccessible for us. So how do we understand that from that position?
I think in the early stages, it feels like it's impossible. But we have Krishna in His holy name. We say that, and it's like, yeah, whatever, holy name. It's like, I don't know who Krishna is in His holy name, but actually He's there. And as that purification happens in our heart, we begin to experience that, and we have like we have experiences and more experiences. So that deepens our understanding and our faith that Krishna is in His holy name. He is in His deity form. He is in His prasadam. So it's those little sort of glimpses that we get, which sort of puts another brick. So we actually start to probably the only thing we have separation from these days is right now is probably prasadam, and like we don't get a prasadam, it's like, oh man, so. But it's like we come and see the deities, and the next day it's like, yeah, whatever. It's like I don't have to go see the deities. So it's certain things we can experience faster, but overall, it's a gradual thing as we understand the process. As long as we're applying it nicely, then things will move. And if we're not moving, then we need to look at what we're doing and see if we're doing something a little off, and then make some adjustments. So, yeah, it definitely feels like we're never gonna. And sometimes, like in dreams, we might see Prabhupada or we might see Krishna in a dream. So, in certain, for Narada Muni, like they got to see him once, very briefly, like in the first canto, he describes that, and for him that was enough to like fully give his life from a young age of like a young boy. But for us, sometimes we do get lucky enough to see Krishna for whatever reason. He feels like he wants to reveal himself. But in those kirtans where we have those experiences in the kirtans with our japa, it's not Krishna face to face, but like we were saying, like we have to learn to see Krishna through our hearing, and I think for a lot of us to listen attentively, it's a really hard thing. And when we can do that with some continuity, we can really like hearing the Bhagavatam, like not just being here, but hearing what is being said and taking it in. when we're chanting, we're sitting there, we're attentive, we're focused, we're trying to hear every syllable from the heart. We're coming from the heart. When we do things in those with that attentiveness, then we start to see Krishna through the hearing. I hope that helps a bit. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Thanks, that's a good point, Vaishnavi. Wish you had the mic. Anybody else have something they'd like to add?
I think it was the comedian, she was just hearing
Yeah.
yeah. Without personal.
Yeah. Yeah, she hadn't seen Krishna before he came and took her on the chariot. But just from hearing the glorification of him and his quality and his beauty and his chivalry, she was like, wow, I want that guy as my husband. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've got plenty of time actually.
Another one is the devotees of the Lord, they're constantly remembering the Lord, like the Bhagavad Gita verse. They're constantly remembering the Lord, they're constantly engaged in remembering the Lord. And it appears that they continually remember the Lord even when they're conducting their own duties in this world.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not always the case and impossible for us. I guess if you're chopping a vegetable and you're just chopping it down, sometimes you're not always thinking of Krishna. I mean, This is an often asked question by devotees, do I need to always think of Krishna in whatever? How do you respond to that? What's some kind of tips we can understand and how we practically apply remembering Krishna in whatever we do?
In our day-to-day activities, like sometimes we don't necessarily understand the full, just by, sometimes like when I was doing the festivals, I would have to, make all these applications and do all these licenses and stuff, and it's like, what am I doing here? I'm just doing licenses, and but that it's for a greater purpose that I'm doing those things. So just not just thinking, okay, I just got to do another license, but thinking how I can connect that to Krishna. Okay, I'm going to do this license, so that'll help me to be able to get to this festival. I'll be able to trade, having prasadam and stuff like that. And so in that way, you can connect all your different things you do through the day. Like Prabhupada would say, like for grihastas, you make some money, so you use your money in a way that, okay, you have what your daily needs are, so you have your food, whatever you need to buy to maintain your house and family, and then you can do a little program in your house, so what your money is utilized in that way, like you guys did the thing down Brunswick the other day. It's great, it's perfect. So the money is a secondary thing, but when you connect it, it becomes a primary. So you can try and go through your daily activities like that, and if you got some kirtan playing, like Rupa Goswami says in one statement, where he says, if you're not chanting or hearing Hare Krishna mantra while you're doing your service, then it's not necessarily 100% service. So there's all different levels, and from where we're starting to someone like Uddhava or Rupa Goswami. So just kind of start somewhere, and others can remember Krishna much faster. And then, like in Bhagavad Gita, it has all those different explanations. Our bodies are water, I'm the ocean. So we go down the ocean, we see the Pacific Ocean. It's like, wow, it's Krishna's energy there. In many ways, we can. I think, for a lot of us, where me included, we can become a little lazy and not keep up that remembering spirit. Because I remember when I first started, I was just like remembering everything. It's like, Krishna's this, Krishna's that. It's like, Krishna's in his holy name. But now I'm a bit more like, yeah, okay, Krishna's there, yeah, okay, whatever. So it's keeping that enthusiasm to try and see Krishna. Like my spiritual master, he goes for japa walks when he chants, and he plays a game. He's like, how many places can I see Krishna while I'm chanting? So he's looking at trees, and he's seeing like, oh, there's a super soul in that. Yeah, there's this and this. He's always meditating on how he can see Krishna in different ways. It's
I just wanted to add to this, like from a bit of a different perspective, that us remembering Krishna is actually his prerogative. Constantly remembering Krishna. What we can do is, as you said, we can just do our best.
Yeah. Well, the verse is there in chapter 15. He gives remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. But Krishna also says that he reciprocates with our efforts. So when he sees us endeavoring, then he will reciprocate. That's how he works. So we're trying, we're endeavoring, he will reciprocate. He will give us some more understanding from the super soul. He will help us to remember. And also, like at the time of death, when that remembrance is like, that's the crucial time. That's what the whole thing we're doing through our lives is preparing us for that split second when the soul leaves the body. And so that remembrance factor, if we've been practicing through our lives, then at the time of death, then there's more of a chance that it'll come to the forefront. And you see, like many devotees, I heard some stories here and there, like devotees who kind of went away and they were just doing their thing out there. One guy, he went back to his old ways of drugs, and he got to a point where he overdosed. So he still had some tulsi mala on his neck, but he wasn't chanting, he wasn't doing anything. But he got taken in the ambulance, and the lady who was the ambulance officer, she noticed the tulsi beads, and she said to him, said, "You're a Hare Krishna." Said, "You got to chant Krishna's name. You got to chant Krishna's name." So he was like remembered by this person. So Krishna works like this. If we have been sincere, then he will help us to remember in all different kinds of ways. Prabhu.
There's a verse in Varaha Purana.
Varaha Purana.
Even if a devotee forgets Krishna or can't remember his holy name at the moment of death, Krishna will remember him.
Yeah, right.
So if it all comes down to the accumulated piety of devotional service, Krishna sees the whole package for our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's pleased with you, even if you don't remember him because of physical condition, which can happen to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Krishna will remember you. Even Prabhupada called this verse actually
Yeah, right.
in the dream conversations.
Nice.
So main thing is to please Krishna. The purpose of life is to please Krishna, and all these technical details, whether we remember him or not, he'll remember us. But yes, the goal is to remember Krishna.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Prabhu.
There's a verse that Prabhupada used to always chant from Mukundamala Stotra by forgot the Alwa's name, South Indian Alwa, but the idea that he wanted to before he passed and his voice got choked in the time of death, and before there was all these remembrance issues, that he wanted to leave his body immediately because he wanted to remember Krishna at that moment and go.
Yeah, right.
Never wanted to be in a moment without remembering Krishna.
Uh-huh.
Prabhupada used to always sing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And then if you're lucky enough to leave your body in, say, Mayapur, like, they say that when you leave your body, Lord Shiva, he's chanting, Gauranga, Gauranga in your ear. So you can't forget. But we might not be that lucky, but plenty of devotees are. We may be too, who knows? Okay, thank you very much. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.